Hello, this is Dr. Mark Hyman. Welcome back to my series of blogs on my new book, The UltraMind Solution. Now, thoughts are things. They can heal or harm. In fact, beliefs can physically mold and shape your brain. Most people don't know this, but the most powerful pharmacy in the world is right between your ears. You know, your thoughts have real and measurable effects on your body and your brain. In fact, every cell in your body listens to your thoughts. Your immune cells know your deepest feelings. Your own stem cells are wired to your brain and help you repair and regenerate, but they only turn on to make new brain cells when you relax. And you don't need placental injections or embryos to get them to work. You see, they're connected to your vagus nerve, a long nerve that goes from your brain through your chest and diaphragm into all the organs and tissues of your body. It's a very special part of your nervous system that helps you calm your mind, and it turns on a cascade of healing that can actually reverse depression and dementia and help you sharpen your mind, making old brains young again. It has to do with turning off the stress response and activating something we call the relaxation response. It's hitting the pause button, which most of us don't know how to do. We don't need any help turning on the alarm system. It happens automatically, right? But most of us don't even know where our pause button is. Now, stress is bad for your brain. It shrinks the hippocampus, which is the ancient memory center of the brain, and it reduces serotonin, that happy mood chemical. It lowers BDNF, which is like miracle grow for your brain cells, and it increases inflammation. It makes you get more belly fat. It lowers your thyroid function and much, much more. So stress is not good for you. Now, the latest research has found 2 ways to turn old, forgetful brains into young brains, to turn depressed people into happy people. You have 2 choices. First, cut out your adrenal glands that produce all the stress hormones like cortisol, which shrinks your brain and robs you of your memory and lowers your serotonin and makes you depressed and reduces your energy production. The other option is to have a pacemaker put in your neck, which stimulates your vagus nerve and triggers relaxation. Now, to me, neither of those sound like too much fun. But you do have another option to calm your mind. Just breathe. You see, breathing activates the vagus nerve. From Jim Gordon, the author of Unstuck, I learned a soft belly breath. It's a variation of an ancient yogic breathing technique. Now, healing your brain involves finding the pause button, which may be different for each one of us, and pushing it every single day. Now, why is this so important? It's because stress destroys our brains. But what is stress anyway? Well, it's defined as a real or imagined threat to your body or your ego. So how we think and what we believe makes a huge difference. You see, optimists live longer and are healthier even if they're wrong. Now, this reminds me of a Tibetan man I met over 20 years ago in Nepal who showed me the power of thought and belief in shaping our lives. See, I traveled to Nepal as part of an expedition to study the public health problems of a small village along the Tibetan border. And along the way, I encountered a remarkable man who had faced grave threats in his life and his place in the world. He was a Tibetan doctor, and he was captured in about 1959 during the Chinese invasion and sent to a Chinese gulag. Now, I found it very difficult to reconcile the serene, calm, and happy man who dispassionately told me of his 22-year imprisonment in a Chinese gulag where he was stripped of his community, his place in the world, and prevented from practicing Buddhism, and tortured and abused. I asked him what the greatest danger he faced during his 22 years of imprisonment was. And I expected him to say the physical and psychological torture and the relentless, sophisticated brainwashing techniques designed to force him to renounce his spiritual beliefs and monkhood and embrace communist ideology. You know what he said? The greatest danger I faced during my imprisonment was the few moments that I thought I might lose my compassion for my Chinese captors. Wow. You see, disease or dis-ease is a disconnection from our sense of place in the world, a loss of control and meaning as we drift from television channel to channel looking for a program to satisfy us, where we consume food that's disconnected from its origins, processed and unidentifiable from its natural state, as our families separate and disconnect and communicate through text messaging and email. You know, poverty alone doesn't increase disease. A lost sense of culture, control, and meaning is a major factor. So how do you take a pill to fix that, right? And we now have identified another kind of stress. It's the stress from eating stressed food. You see, we've identified a phenomena that comes from eating this stressed food. It's food that's grown on agribusiness farms. It's from animals raised in CAFOs, or confined animal feeding operations, otherwise known as feedlots. You see, this is called xenohormesis, and it means that when you eat stressed food, it produces stress molecules in your body that make you sick. Our bodies see it as foreign and dangerous. It's stressful to eat this stressed food. So next time you reach for that industrial packaged food product or fast food lunch, ask yourself if your food is relaxed. So now let's talk about how you know if you're stressed. Well, maybe you crave salt, you feel dizzy when you stand up, you have trouble falling asleep, maybe you have sweaty palms, or you feel just wiped out after exercise, or maybe you get that tired and wired feeling. If so, you might have burned out your adrenal glands, which are the glands that kick into gear whenever there's stress. So what's the cure for burnout? Well, it's learning to calm your mind. It's doing the soft belly breathing 5 times a day, making choices in your life that create a balanced life, practice saying no to others and yes to yourself. Try yoga or meditation, get enough sleep, eat whole real foods that decrease the stress response, and you might even try some herbs that can balance out the stress response, such as ginseng or Siberian ginseng. I have just opened the door for you to learn how to calm your mind. And you can learn much more in Chapter 12 of the UltraMind Solution. Now, I've said that psychotherapy can be helpful for improving your mood and brain function or finding the meaning and purpose of your heart and soul. But it's much harder to shut off your mental chatter or connect with your soul if you're poisoned with mercury, suffering from vitamin D or B12 deficiency, or struggling against a thyroid gland that isn't working, or your brain is inflamed from a virus or a food allergy. You see, if you're standing on attack, it takes a lot of aspirin to make you feel better. Pull it out. You have to heal your broken brain by fixing your body first, and then get help from psychotherapy. It'll have much greater benefits. You can get started by using the 7 keys to an ultra mind. This sets the stage to a lifelong journey of health and vitality. In my next blog, I'm going to teach you how to do the 6-week plan for an ultra mind. I'll share the powerful and yet simple 4-step program from part 3 of my book that will give you the roadmap to achieving your own ultra mind. And I just want to remind you that you can get a free sneak preview of my new book at www.ultramind.com. Now you've seen how all the 7 keys influence your brain and biology. It's one interconnected web of problems. And because it's all connected, you can make a few simple changes that can have dramatic and life-changing effects. A few simple dietary changes, a few nutrients, a little exercise, enough sleep, and a little time each day for activating the relaxation response can transform deep-seated symptoms that show up as altered mood, behavior, attention, and memory. Your brain can thrive. You just have to provide the right conditions. In the next blog, I'm going to teach you those conditions.